The picture that started to form inside the Eagles building this season became clearer every single week, and one of the biggest reasons for that was the way Jihad Campbell announced himself in Philadelphia. Without hype, without shortcuts, the rookie linebacker walked into a defense that already had expectations and immediately became part of the solution. He didn't wait for development time. He didn't hide behind depth charts. He played all 17 games, started 10 of them, and by the end of the year the league had taken notice, naming him to the Pro Football Writers of America All-Rookie team. That matters because it's now the fourth straight season that the Eagles' top draft pick earned that honor. It tells you something about how this organization is drafting and how quickly young players are being asked to contribute. Campbell came in as a first-round pick out of Alabama and didn't look overwhelmed by the jump from college to the NFL. Statistically, the season was solid, but the impact went beyond numbers. He finished with 76 total tackles, 11 quarterback pressures, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. Those are production plays, not empty snaps. If you want a moment that really defined his rookie year, it came in Week 4 against Tampa Bay. Fourth quarter, end zone, Baker Mayfield thinks he has a window, and Campbell drops back and picks it off for the Eagles. That's not just athleticism, that's awareness, timing, and confidence. For a rookie linebacker to make that play in a tight moment tells you he wasn't just surviving on the field, he was processing the game at NFL speed. His role early in the season was shaped by circumstance too. Campbell opened as the starter next to Zach Bond because Nakobe Dean began the year on the physically unable to perform list. When Dean eventually returned, some rookies might have faded into the background, but that didn't happen here. Campbell kept seeing the field in Vic Fangio's system, rotating, adjusting, and proving he could handle multiple responsibilities in a defense that demands discipline and communication. And Fangio's influence is important to this entire story. Philadelphia's defense quietly became one of the strongest units in the league. They finished fifth in scoring defense, allowing just 19.1 points per game. Opposing quarterbacks completed only 56.8% of their passes against them, best in the NFL, and the passer rating allowed was 75.4, second in the league. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens when the front, the linebackers, and the secondary all understand spacing, leverage, and assignment football. Under Fangio, young players didn't just play, they excelled. Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean earned first-team All-Pro honors as two of the best defensive backs in the NFL, and that environment helped a rookie like Campbell grow faster than most. Fangio himself became a finalist for the Associated Press NFL Assistant Coach of the Year for the second straight year, which shows how respected his work has become around the league. What really stands out with Campbell isn't just the on-field performance. It's the mindset he brought into the building. At locker cleanout day, he talked about controlling what you can control, showing up every day with a smile, and a getting-to-work mentality. He emphasized staying neutral emotionally, not getting too high or too low, just being ready to work every single day. For a first-round rookie, that's maturity. That's someone who understands the NFL doesn't wait for you. He also talked about the transition from college to the league and how fast it hits you. In college, you might think you have time.
In the NFL, you don't. Campbell explained that it's time to work, time to learn, time to grow immediately, with no shortcuts. Continuous improvement, wanting to be the best version of yourself every day. That mentality fits exactly with what the Eagles want defensively moving forward. So when you look at Campbell's rookie year, it's not just a nice story, it's a foundation. He handled early starting duties, adjusted when the lineup changed, made impact plays, and earned league recognition. At the same time, he developed inside one of the most efficient defenses in football under a coordinator who maximizes young talent. That combination is dangerous for the rest of the NFC. Now the focus shifts to year 2. The league has film on him. Offenses will test him differently. Responsibilities will grow. Expectations will rise. But the way Campbell approached his first season suggests he's not satisfied with just being good as a rookie. He sees this as the beginning, not the peak. From your perspective as an Eagles fan, when you look at Jihad Campbell's rookie season, his role in Vic Fangio's defense, and the way Philadelphia's defense performed as a whole, what do you expect from him in year 2? And do you see him becoming one of the true leaders of this unit going forward? What makes year 2 so interesting for Jihad Campbell is that now he's no longer the unknown piece in the middle of the defense. Last season he arrived as a first-round rookie trying to prove he belonged. Now he walks into the building as a player who already showed he can survive, contribute, and make real impact plays in meaningful moments. The difference between year 1 and year 2 in the NFL is huge. In the first year you react. In the second year, you start to anticipate. Campbell already experienced what most rookies need 2 or 3 seasons to feel. He went through lineup changes, learned how Vic Fangio's system actually works on Sundays, and understood what NFL preparation really means. Fangio's defense isn't simple. It asks linebackers to communicate, disguise intentions, handle coverage responsibilities, and still be aggressive against the run and the quarterback. Campbell was not protected by the scheme. He was challenged by it, and he responded. Now imagine what that looks like with a full offseason of NFL training, film study, and confidence. Instead of just learning where to be, he can start learning why he's there. Instead of thinking through every snap, the game slows down. That's when speed really shows up. Not just physical speed, but mental speed. The interception against Baker Mayfield in Week 4 wasn't luck. It was a preview of what happens when athleticism meets recognition. In year 2, those moments usually multiply. Another important part of Campbell's development is how he fits inside the larger identity of this Eagles defense. Philadelphia wasn't just decent defensively, they were one of the most efficient units in the league. 5th in scoring defense, 1st in completion percentage allowed, 2nd in passer rating allowed. That means quarterbacks were uncomfortable, throws were contested, windows were tight, and linebackers are central to that structure, especially in Fangio's approach. With defensive backs like Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean playing at an elite level, the middle of the field becomes even more important. When corners and safeties lock down outside, quarterbacks start attacking seams, hooks, and underneath zones. That's where Campbell lives. That's where his growth can completely change how offenses approach Philadelphia. If he becomes faster with reads and more decisive with closing angles, those short and intermediate throws turn into contested plays, breakups, and turnovers. Leadership is another area where year 2 usually separates players. Last season Campbell talked about learning, growing, and being the best version of himself every day. That's the mindset of someone focused on survival and development. Now the next step is presence. Not just playing well, but setting the standard in meetings, walkthroughs, and on the field. Linebackers are communicators. They align fronts, adjust coverages, and react before the snap. If Campbell takes ownership of that role, his impact won't always show in the box score, but the entire defense will function cleaner. There's also the physical side. 17 games, 10 starts, constant collisions, and pressure situations already tested him. He came out of it understanding what it takes to manage an NFL season. That includes conditioning, recovery, and consistency. Many rookies flash and fade. Campbell didn't disappear. He handled the ebbs and flows he talked about. That experience matters when expectations rise and opponents prepare specifically for you. And now teams will prepare for him. Offensive coordinators will know his tendencies. They'll try to manipulate his eyes with play action, motion, and route combinations. That's where film work becomes the next evolution. Campbell already showed discipline in his mindset. If he pairs that with advanced study, he stops being just a talented linebacker and starts becoming a problem for quarterbacks. From the Eagles' perspective, his development also represents something bigger. It shows that the organization is not just drafting talent, but integrating it fast into meaningful roles. 4th straight year that the top pick earns all rookie honors is not coincidence. It's a system, and Campbell is now one of its newest pillars on defense. So when you project this forward, you're not just talking about another solid starter. You're talking about the possibility of a linebacker who controls space, communicates the defense, creates turnovers, and becomes one of the emotional engines of the unit. Philadelphia's defense already proved it can limit scoring and frustrate quarterbacks. The next step is turning pressure into more game-changing plays, and that's exactly the area where Campbell's skill set fits. Year 1 showed he belongs. Year 2 is about dominance, consistency, and leadership. If he takes the leap that many great linebackers take in their second season, the Eagles aren't just getting a good player, they're getting a core defensive piece for years to come. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Jihaad Campbell is ready to take that year 2 leap and become one of the leaders of this Eagles defense? And what kind of impact do you expect him to make next season? Another layer to this conversation is how the Eagles can actually expand Jihaad Campbell's responsibilities now that he's no longer just a rookie trying to earn snaps. In year 1, the priority is usually trust. Can the staff trust you to line up correctly, handle your assignment, and not become the weak spot offense's attack? Campbell passed that test. He wasn't hidden, and he wasn't protected. He was placed into real situations inside Vic Fangio's defense and held his ground. That opens the door for growth in how he's used. Last season, a lot of his value came from being steady, athletic, and assignment sound. Now the next step is influence. Linebackers in Fangio's system don't just react. They manipulate. They disguise coverage, delay blitz looks, and bait quarterbacks into throwing into bad windows. When you gain experience, you stop chasing plays and start shaping them. That's where Campbell can really change his profile in year 2. Think about the 11 quarterback pressures he already produced as a rookie. That's not nothing for a linebacker adjusting to NFL speed. With better timing, better anticipation, and more comfort in the scheme, those pressures can turn into sacks, forced throws, and turnovers. Fangio's defenses thrive when linebackers threaten the middle, forcing quarterbacks to speed up their process. If Campbell becomes more aggressive without losing discipline, the entire pass defense becomes harder to solve. There's also the mental side of being targeted. After a rookie year like his, opponents won't ignore him anymore. They'll test him with misdirection, motion, and layered route concepts. That's where growth really shows. Not in highlight plays, but in the snaps where nothing seems to happen because the quarterback had no answer. When a linebacker takes away the first and second read, the defense wins even if it doesn't show up in the stat sheet. Another thing fans sometimes overlook is continuity. Campbell already played all 17 games and started 10. That's valuable experience. He's seen division opponents, late-season intensity, and real pressure moments. He understands what it feels like when teams are fighting for position and every snap is heavier. That's different from college. Now he carries that knowledge into preparation, recovery, and consistency. The second season is usually when players stop just surviving the schedule and start mastering it. Inside the Eagles' locker room, that also changes how teammates view you. Last year, he was learning from everyone. This year, younger players or new additions will be learning from him. That's how leadership starts, quietly at first. It's not speeches. It's being early, knowing the calls, correcting alignment, and playing fast without panic. Linebackers become extensions of the coaching staff on the field, and Fangio's defenses depend on that communication. And when you connect Campbell's growth with what the Eagles already built defensively, the upside becomes even clearer. Philadelphia already proved they can limit scoring and disrupt quarterbacks. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean locking things down on the back end allows the middle of the field to become aggressive instead of cautious. If Campbell starts owning that space, the Eagles can close windows faster, force more checkdowns, and turn pressure into takeaways. This isn't about hype, it's about progression. Rookie year showed capability. Second year is about control. Control of space, control of communication, control of tempo. If Campbell reaches that level, the Eagles don't just have a promising linebacker, they have a stabilizer in the center of the defense. And that's why year 2 matters so much. It's not just another season. It's the season where you find out if a player is simply good, or if he's building towards something bigger. Campbell already showed the mindset, the work ethic, and the adaptability. Now the league will challenge him, and his response will define the next stage of this Eagles defense. So once again, it comes back to you as a fan. When you project Jihad Campbell forward, do you see a solid starter, or do you see the potential core leader of Philadelphia's defense for the next few years? There's also a bigger picture tied to Jihad Campbell that goes beyond just his own development. His progression is directly connected to how sustainable this Eagles defense can be year after year. Philadelphia already proved they can build a top 5 scoring defense, but staying at that level requires players in the middle of the unit who can adapt as offenses evolve. And that's where linebackers become the heartbeat of everything. Last season, Campbell was absorbing information. This season, he should start dictating reactions. When offenses come out with motion, stack formations, or tempo, the linebacker is the one who keeps the defense organized. If that communication is late, windows open. If it's fast and confident, quarterbacks hesitate. Campbell already showed he's comfortable on the field, and comfort is the first step toward control. One of the most interesting parts of his rookie year is that he didn't just make tackles, he affected plays before they fully developed. Those 11 quarterback pressures hint at a player who understands timing, not just pursuit. With more experience, Fangio can trust him in more complex responsibilities. That might mean delayed pressure looks, disguised drops, or responsibility shifts that confuse protections. Fangio's system works best when linebackers can threaten both coverage and pressure without tipping their hand. Campbell is built for that type of role. Another element is consistency. Playing all 17 games matters. Starting 10 games matters. That's durability and reliability, two things coaches value almost as much as talent. Campbell wasn't a part-time contributor. He was a regular piece of the rotation in a defense that demanded precision. Now, with that base already built, the focus becomes sharpening details, angles, leverage, eye discipline, and anticipation. And that's where the film room becomes just as important as the field. In year 1, you learn what offenses try to do. In year 2, you start recognizing patterns, route combinations, play-action tendencies, protection shifts. When a linebacker starts seeing those things before the snap instead of after it, the defense becomes faster without actually running faster. That's how good players turn into difference makers. There's also the emotional side of being in